Hello and welcome to the Munro Method Clancast. I am Jason Munro. This is episode 148. Bit of a different one today. I'm going to record this and send it to people who have maybe never listened to one of these before, who's maybe new to my Instagram or finding out who I am or something like that. Because somebody joined the group yesterday. Sorry, no, they didn't join yesterday. Somebody joined a week ago. I was setting up their nutrition yesterday. And when they were telling me about their diet history, they were telling me about some awful people they've worked with. I'm not going to name them, but they worked with someone who claims to be royalty, if that's a hint. They have over 1 million followers on Instagram. And apparently they are a horrible person. Misogynistic, abusive, shaming. You only have to go onto their Trustpilot reviews to see endless reviews. Do you know, it's funny, when people have a bad experience, my God, do they want to go and leave a review. When people have a great experience, not so much. But anyway, it led to a conversation of me kind of talking about how the Munro Method came about and the way that I built it. Because when I was reading these reviews, people were talking about how, this person uses guilt and shaming to quote-unquote motivate people. There's a big focus on the scales. It's all about, you don't want this enough and all that shit. And, I'm so exhausted with that stuff. It's exhausting for me. Because the thing is, one of the things that I have to contend with as a business owner, right? Because that's what the Munro Method is. It's a business. It's me using my qualifications and my experience and my profession to help people achieve something that I've helped many people achieve, right? That's just how the world works. If I've done this multiple times over the years, if there's something that I need to fix or I need to get help with, I find someone who's done it before or knows a lot about it and I give them money. That's basically how it works. Want to improve your business? Hire a business coach. I've had multiple over the years. Online PTs, taking myself to therapy. Find someone who can fix the thing that you need fixed. Or first of all, figure out what the thing is that you need fixed. Then go find someone that can help you fix it. That's it. It's how you get through life quicker. It's how you advance quicker. It's how you level up quicker. How you achieve things quicker. You think Olympians and runners and football players, do you think they're just self-teaching themselves? Of course not. They've got coaches and physios and performance coaches and mindset coaches, all helping them become the best they can be. Sorry, that was a tangent. So this conversation that we had, I'm so exhausted with this whole yo-yo dieting shit, because that's all that is. So this person is just doing the same thing that all other yo-yo diets do, trying to help the person that's in front of them at the time, but only at the time, but doing it in an awful way in this instance. But this is what yo-yo diets are, right? It's so short-sighted. There's no thoughts around the future. It's okay, here are the things that you need to do right now to make the scales come down next week. Just go do them, and then we'll check the scales, and if they've come down, then you'll have done a great job, and we're just going to keep doing that until the scales get to a number that you want them to be, and then we're going to abandon you, because we've not taught you fuck all about how to stay there. But that's a good thing, because we want you to put the weight back on, because we want you to come back again. And round and round and round it goes. This is how the yo-yo diet industry thrives. So I just wanted to explain, this is what I explained to this person I spoke to yesterday, okay? I said, when I created the Munro Method, a mouse just ran across the path. When I created the Munro Method, I sat down, literally did this, sat down and at my Jesus, who do I think I am? I sat down at my dining table, which was in my kitchen, which was in my flat, with a notepad. Here's how all diets are created, right? A bunch of people, like yo-yo diets, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, anything else that pops up, a bunch of people sit around a table and they'll write down like calorie deficit, because you cannot lose body fat without the creation of a calorie deficit, consuming less calories than you need. And then it's right, what combination of things are we going to create that helps someone achieve this so that their weight comes down? So if it's Slimming World, like, okay, let's give them a bunch of free foods because that's really marketable. Let's have a list of free foods so that we can say, you can eat these free foods in unlimited quantities, and people who love overeating and love feeling excessively full go, yep, that's the boy for me. Because it's a huge marketing point. And then the healthy extras things. Then you need to have a healthy extra. You can have one from this list. This is your A and this is your B. And then at night time, you get to sit down with your little treat plate full of sins. And you're going to get however many of those. And what we'll do is we'll get them to come to a group every week where we'll put out a little table and we'll try and sell them shit to make more money. And then we'll get them all to hop on and off the scales, and then we'll do the rounds of applause because people like that kind of thing. And once they've lost half a stone or a stone, then we'll give them little certificates and we'll make a fuss about them on social media. And we'll give them things that they can take home to post on their own social media. And that'll make more people want to come, and that's free advertising. Like, this is how these diets are created. Do you remember Pruvit ketones? You may remember them getting pretty big in 2020. Pruvit ketones was run by a company called Pruvit, Pruvit. And the keto market was pretty big back then, and they came out with these ketones like it's they don't exist anymore. Nobody cares. It was a fad diet. Everybody hopped on it. They all thought they were going to go into ketosis without actually doing any of the keto diet stuff. All you had to do was drink this drink and you're going to lose loads of weight. And it was, I mean, I don't want to use the word scam, because that word tends to get thrown around quite a lot. Like, I don't know if it was a scam. Like, to me, from a professional standpoint, on the outside looking in, it did look like a scam to me, because Pruvit ketones did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'll tell you something funny. I logged into my own Facebook account for the first time in years. And I mean years. Because I set up a business one. So when I launched the Munro Method, it started off as a Facebook group. And I stopped using my own personal Facebook and I created a business one. So I've got 2 Facebook profiles. And I actually couldn't get into my personal one for years. And I recently got access back into it. And I had a message request from someone. And they were sharing a screenshot of somebody's Instagram story, because I had taken a photo of somebody's salon and they were selling Pruvit ketones at the time. And they had their Instagram thing on it. So I took a picture, put it on my stories. I was like, you wouldn't come to me for a haircut, as in you wouldn't come to me, a nutritionist, for a haircut. You're not going to go to a stylist for nutrition advice. And she had, like, passive-aggressively shared on her stories, thanks for the free publicity, Munro Nutrition. If you want to learn more about this billion-dollar industry and how we're changing lives, come in and we'll have a chat. And it made me laugh, because it just reminded. That's why I'm thinking about that Pruvit ketones, because they just don't exist anymore. It's a non-thing. Sorry, this is what I was going to say. Like, it was a huge marketing ploy. It was an MLM scheme, multi-level marketing scheme. Basically, you sold them, you brought more people onto your team, you made money from that team, sell, money, basically, with a product that was doing practically nothing. And again, this is a bunch of people sitting around a table, and I remember going onto their website at the time and going onto their. It wasn't like a PR pack, it was an affiliate pack. So they had this affiliate pack. It was fucking huge. It was this massive PDF file, right? And it was like all these sales targets, and if you bring 10 people onto your team, you'll get a 5k bonus. And if you bring 20 people onto your team and they make £500 in their first month, you'll get this bonus. And it was just this insane marketing thing, this insane marketing monster that was just pushed and pushed and pushed. And again, it was one of the same reasons that Herbalife did so well in 2020. People were stuck at home, they couldn't go anywhere. A lot of people were concerned about their weight. They were at home far more. We were furloughed or locked down or whatever, and people were worried about how much they were eating. Oh, here's, Herbalife went bananas. If you look up Herbalife share prices and go back, set the thing to 5 years, you'll see it peaked in 2020 and it's crashed ever since. But yeah, 2020 was a great year for MLMs because people could do it from home on their phones basically. And it was mostly cold outreach in Facebook groups. Like, I'm sure half of the people listening to this episode have probably had someone on their friends list at some point. Someone that you went to school with, primary school with even. Someone you've not spoken to since you were 5. Sliding into your DM saying, "Hey, Teresa, long time no see, how are you? Have you got a minute to hear about fucking Herbalife or Pruvit ketones or Juice Plus? And I'm drinking this stuff and it makes me feel amazing. You want to hear more? You want to buy some?" Anyway, so this is how these things are created, right? Bunch of people sit around the table. How can we extract money from people in exchange for weight loss? We have to get them a result. We have to convince them that they're getting a result. It doesn't matter if they keep the results, we just have to get them there, and that's us delivering on our promise. So when I created the Munro Method, I decided that there were going to be no promises, because you can't promise anything, because I can't control other people. And I've learned that lesson time and time again across the years. It doesn't matter how much help, how much advice, how much support you give a person. You can't control human behaviour. And you could be the best nutritionist in the world, but if you give the best nutrition advice in the world to someone who just doesn't apply it, then it's worthless. So it wasn't going to be built on promises. It was going to be built on, here is what I do. And if that is what you want to achieve, then you will come and I will help you. And even if we don't get you all the way to the finish line, at the very least, your time spent working with me is going to be a positive stepping stone on your journey. What I mean by that is, people typically hop from fad to crash diet to yo-yo diet, and each one leaves them in a worse place than when they started. I've had so many conversations this week with people who went to Slimming World. They had a great relationship with food. They only wanted to lose a little bit of weight. They didn't really know much. They were quite comfortable and happy with the way that they ate. It wasn't a big deal, but they had 5 pounds they wanted to lose, or half a stone they wanted to lose for a holiday. So they went to Slimming World. Fast forward 20 years and they cannot get sins out of their head. Free foods, healthy extras, being good, being bad, being on plan, being off plan. The guilt, the shame, this stuff is given to people at these places. Even the people who think they're successful, well, I've maintained my weight for this many years because I know when I'm good, but when I'm bad, I go off the rails. And it's like, it's madness. When I read that, someone thinking they're a success while speaking in such black and white terms. Like, I know how much of a struggle their eating must be on a daily basis, but hey, at least the scales are staying at the same number. So, yeah. At the very least, and when I did my nutrition course, we got taught the same kind of thing that doctors are taught, right? The number one rule is do no harm. Do not give harmful advice to people, basically. Make sure that you are always giving the right advice to the right people and you're doing the right thing. And that was the way that I created it. And then, unlike most people, I started 10 years down the line, okay? So I kind of looked at myself and thought, right, what do I wish that I knew 10 years ago that would still be helping me today? And this is why I say that when I'm coaching clients, when I'm doing their check-ins, I always cast my mind, like, I might read a sentence in someone's check-in, and I am a stickler for language because I will call it out, I will pick up on it, I'll read it back to people and explain it to them in a different way. So for example, like the amount of people that talk about being good and being bad, or I was eating rubbish, and then I have to have that conversation and say, look, you can't talk negatively about food. You're never going to have a positive experience with foods that you keep describing negatively. You like that rubbish. Those crisps, those sweets, that chocolate, that cake, that takeaway, whatever it is that you're describing as rubbish. I've eaten so much rubbish today, I'm so bad. You're never going to make that turn into a positive thing. So this is the kind of stuff that I pick up on. And when I read through these check-ins, sometimes people will say it in a super innocent way, and it's like, okay, that's actually not a big deal. But then there's other times where I'll analyse it and be like, okay, if this person keeps this thought, will that be helping them or hindering them 10 years from now? And then we'll have a chat about it. Because everything that I do inside the Munro Method, it's not about the scales. It's not about your weight. It's about two things. Understanding why you are in the position that you are in. And if you've listened to any number of these episodes, I must say that in every single bloody one. Because that's the core message. I said something on Instagram yesterday that was quite cool, and I can't remember what it bloody was, but something along the lines of, you need to stop solving the wrong problem, right? Your problem is not that you have weight to lose. That's the result of multiple other problems. Just like somebody's problem is not that they're in debt. Somebody's problem is that they spend in such a way that places them into debt, right? Debt's the outcome. Your weight is the outcome of a bunch of other problems. So you don't have a weight problem. You have a weight gaining, I think it says you don't have a weight carrying problem. You have a weight gaining problem. And the reason people yo-yo diet is because they keep trying to solve the wrong problem. I've got 3 stone to lose. That's my problem. No, it's not. Your problem is that you keep putting 3 stone of body fat onto your body that you then have to lose. And instead of tackling the correct thing, instead of tackling the right problem, like I do inside the Munro Method, it's like, okay, why do you have weight to lose? Yes, you have weight to lose, we get that. I know what your weight is. Yes, we're going to make it come down. But why is it there? What is it about you that makes you put that weight on your body? What are the dozens of little habits and thoughts and behaviours and the mindset that you've developed? What are you, and it's unique. I mean, a lot of people have the same things going on, but people have their own unique combinations of those things. So yes, you might emotionally eat, right? That's a blanket term, but why do you emotionally eat? When do you do it? What's it related to? Is there a specific time that it happens? Are there specific foods? And then it's not just emotional eating, because that person will probably also have black and white thinking. I've already eaten something bad, might as well keep going and start again on Monday. And they'll also have a poor relationship with food, because they'll describe certain foods as bad or junk or crap or rubbish, like we said. So it's never just one thing. I eat too much, so I'm overweight. Yes, correct. But that's like the surface level stuff. We need to go further than that. Why do you eat too much? Like you've literally said to me, you eat too much. By definition, you know that you are overeating, and yet it's something you're still doing. That's the start point. That's the confusion point. I'm doing this thing that I don't want to do because it's making my weight go to a place I don't want it to be, and yet I keep doing it. And I can't understand why, and that's fine. But that place of confusion leaves people to think, well, how am I supposed to stop it if I don't know why I'm doing it? And that's why I built the Munro Method and the processes and the way that I do everything. It's to understand why we do these things. It's why when people come to work with me, we don't dive head first into fat loss. You know, some people get annoyed with it. They come in, day one, right, let's go, let's lose weight. I want to know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm supposed to be eating and how many calories, because I want to start losing weight tomorrow. And then they come in, they do day one, find out that's not what's happening, and they go, oh, okay. But then, as we get through the first week and they do the lessons, I have multiple points throughout the course. So day 7, day 14, day 28, I have a little feedback post where I ask people to come back and let me know how that week's went. What do they and after, I do it on day 8, day 15, day 29, because then it's after the day 7, day 14, day 28 stuff. A very common thread on day 8 is, I came in here all hyped up and expecting to be doing this right now, only to find out that I had to do some mindset work first, but now I understand why I did it. Now I can see why I failed in the past. I can see why it's all gone wrong in the past. And I've really appreciated the slow start. I've really appreciated taking that time to actually analyse myself and figure out why my diets have failed in the past and what the things are that I need to work on to change it. Because everything that you think you know about dieting is probably wrong. And it's very challenging to help people see that. There's no one overwhelming thing I can give you or tell you that helps you just go from seeing it how you see it to not seeing it like that anymore. Because depending on your diet history and how long you've been dieting for, it will be ridiculously ingrained in you. There's people I've been working with for a long time, and you could be 6 months down the line, do a check-in with them, and they'll say something, and you're like, Christ, that's the kind of thing someone would say on day one, and it's just one thing that we've never addressed or covered yet that's still knocking around in their head. They've not heard me say something, they've not read anything yet that challenges that belief, and they'll just come out with this one thing. In fact, there's a check-in sitting for me to do today. I glanced at it last night before I switched my computer off, and somebody said, I'm relying on protein shakes a lot, which I know is a bad thing. I know it's better to get it direct from the source. And I'm going to reply to that person and say, what do you think protein shakes are? Protein shakes are direct from the source. In case you don't know, protein shakes get a bad rap. I don't encourage them massively, but they're extremely convenient and they're extremely helpful. And they have a time and place. Should somebody be drinking them multiple times per day, every single day? Not unless you're a bodybuilder. Ideally, we want to improve our diet to the point where we're getting most of it from our diet. But as a stopgap, even if it's once a day, if it's something to curb cravings in the afternoon or tide you over to dinner time, or you don't have time to put a meal together and you just want to make your hunger go away, have a protein shake. But protein shakes, in case you don't know, protein shakes contain whey protein. They're a dairy product. The whey protein is the purest, it's the gold standard of protein. And it comes from the cheese making process. So when they're making cheese, they have things left over called cheese curds. They take those cheese curds, dry them out, grind them into a powder, and what you are left with is the gold standard of protein, the highest quality protein. That's what goes into protein shakes. Yes, they add bits and pieces after, because you would not just want to drink powdered cheese curds. They'll add flavourings and whatever else. But it's as pure. It's almost as pure as it gets. It is direct from the source. So that's going to be a chat I'll have with that person today. And they're not new. They've been here a while. And this is why I'll often say that I love working with people for 12 to 18 months. That's my kind of, if it was up to me, I don't impress this on people. It's up to them how long they stay. But I know that I've had my greatest successes with people who have worked with me for 12 to 18 months, because we get to do 12 to 18 months of living. We might go through 2 Christmases or 2 summers, but we go through an entire 12 months. We go through an entire year, all the birthdays, all the celebration, all the meals out, the holidays, the school holidays, the half terms, all this stuff. We get to go through all that together, navigate it together. And it's almost like, right, I've had a practice year of how to navigate a year with a nutritionist. Now I can go and do it alone. Not everybody needs to stay for 12 to 18 months, by the way. Those people that I'm talking about had 5, 6, 7 stone to lose. And they did during those 12 to 18 month windows. But I think part of the reason they go on to be so successful afterwards, because, the higher somebody's weight, the more challenging it is to be successful afterwards, because, you're not just changing your weight, you're trying to transform yourself as a person. If you have the ability to put 6 stones of body fat on your body, it's because you are consuming at a very high level. And yes, you have to lose the weight, but again, that's not the focal point. The focal point is you need to transform into someone who does not eat at the level you've been eating at, if that makes sense. If someone goes from regularly having 3,000 to 3,500 calories a day with very little effort, and at their goal weight they're going to be burning 2,000 calories a day, that person needs to somehow find a way of living on 1,000 to 1,500 calories less. It's not as simple as just changing some of the foods that you're eating. You have to become a different person. And this is where yo-yo diets fail people. They don't help the person transform. They help the number on the scale transform. And the reality is the yo-yo diet industry is not really doing that much wrong, because that's what people want. It's a supply and demand thing. People don't go out, people don't do this as often as they do the other way. Most people are not going to Google and saying, how can I lose weight and keep it off for life? What plan does that? People want to lose weight now. They want to do it as fast as possible, as cheap as possible, as easy as possible. They don't want to lose half a pound a week or a pound a week. They want to be losing 2, 3 and 4 pounds a week. And the reason that is because they've dieted for so long that it's become transactional. The whole idea of losing weight and never dieting again is a fantasy to them. So then it becomes an annual transaction. I'm going to pay this company money and I want the weight off as quick as possible so I can get back to normal again. Anyway, this is why I created the Munro Method, and this is why I started 10 years down the line. What does this person need to know, learn, be doing, be not doing? What do they need to know in the very beginning before they even start with me? And this is why I built week 1. The mindset work that we do, the exercises that we do, shifting the focus from goal weights to a goal version of life. Meaning, I get them to write weight loss in the middle because that's most people's goal. But weight loss is a terrible goal. So what I do is, write weight loss in the middle of the paper. Then I want you to branch out from it. What is weight loss going to give you? So let's click our fingers. You're at your magic number on the scales. What do you get? What does your life look like? I've got more confidence. I've got a colourful wardrobe. I'm not deleting family photos at the end of every day. I'm more intimate with my partner. My kids see their mum being fit and healthy. My kids have got a fun dad to play with because he's not constantly tired and irritable. I join in with my kids at the soft play instead of sitting glued to my phone. And whatever else. Sorry, I'm doing that hill again. And then once they've exhausted all the things that they can think about that their life will look like when they've lost weight, I get them to scrub weight loss out in the middle. And that's the point when we say, that is your goal. So weight loss is not the goal. All these things that you've written around here, that's the goal. That's the life that you want to achieve. It's the one that you don't have now because you feel like your weight is holding you back. Therefore, your weight took you to a point where you're unhappy and you're this and that. Weight gain was a facilitator to the life that you have now. It was never a goal. Nobody set out with a goal of weight gain, so why do we set out with a goal of weight loss? Your goal now is to create this life for yourself. And weight loss isn't the goal, it's the facilitator. It's the thing that's going to help you get there. And that's one of the powerful exercises that I get everyone to do in week 1. Because they cannot come into the Munro Method with a weight loss mindset. Because and this is me trying to kill dead this yo-yo dieting mindset, this, right, tell me what to do so the scales can start coming down. Like, no, we're not doing that. I'm going to tell you what to do, but it's not going to be for the scales to come down. That's going to happen anyway. Like, I try not to even make a fuss about the scales coming down. It's a given. Do the things and they're going to come down. We don't even need to talk about it. That's going to happen. And I think this is another problem with why people yo-yo diet so much. It is so fucking short-sighted. What do I need to do today to make the scales come down tomorrow? No, what do you need to do today to make sure the scales are still down in 10 years' time? That's the work. Okay, it's, people get, especially with calorie counting, there's so many people who calorie count with no planning whatsoever, and they make a game of trying to... I don't follow accounts like this anymore, right? But I used to follow a couple of thousands account on my Instagram. I spent a long time removing all of them, and now I follow very few, and none of them got anything to do with nutrition. Apart from my friends in the industry, it's mostly F1 stuff. But I only follow like double digits worth of people. Because I don't use social media for the social aspect. I use it for the Munro Method and helping people. Anyway, I used to see people and it's like ending the day on 1,132 calories, ending the day on 1,264 calories. There was no plan, there was no number to stick to. It was literally, how much can I starve myself today and what's the lowest number I can end the day on? And that's just wild. Like, how is that helping you 10 years from now? What habits are you building? What behaviours are you changing? How's your mindset improving? You're completely consumed by, I need to make these numbers be as low as possible today so that when I step on the scales next week, the number's lower. And that's how they live their life, one day at a time, one way in at a time, with no thoughts of the future. Are my efforts over this 6 months going to still be here in a year's time? Or am I going to be back to square one again? And your success with weight loss does not depend on pounds per week or calorie numbers or macros. It depends on how are you changing as a person. You were 15 stone because you are right now a 15 stone version of yourself in your head. You eat and drink and act and behave and sleep and scroll and move and talk and think, if I didn't say that already, like a 15 stone person. And because of that, your weight has followed you up the way. It's followed the way that you want to live. And it's followed you up to your 15 stone mindset. And yes, if you can keep your 15 stone mindset, and you can temporarily follow a plan, and you can bring the scales down, you might even get to a goal. But if you get to that goal, and you still have a 15 stone mindset, what do you think is going to happen the moment we take that plan away from you? Without a plan to follow, you default back to 15 stone version of you. I had someone, not join me yesterday, I nearly said that again. I had someone join me last week. I did their nutrition plan yesterday. She has lost weight multiple times over the years. She did a program last year that helped her lose 3 stone. I'm recording this in September, even though I'm going to backdate it to August. But she, since Christmas 2024, so over the last 10 months nearly, she has regained a stone of that. And I said, so I figured out the numbers. I was like, okay, so you used to be, I can't remember now because I made a mistake in the beginning when I spoke to her, but let's just stick with the 15 stone thing, right? You used to be 15 stone and you followed a plan that helped you get to 12 stone. but now you're back at 13 stone, right? So, she looked at that as a bad thing. I looked at it as a huge positive. It's like, look, you didn't go all the way back to where you were. So think of it this way, right? That part of your journey, I don't know what that plan's like or what you learned or what they taught you, if anything, but you were a 15 stone version of yourself. You managed to follow a plan to get you down to 12 stone, and you've only gone back up to 13. So even though you've regained some weight, you've probably changed enough of your thoughts, changed enough of your behaviours that you're no longer a 15 stone version of yourself. So your weight probably wasn't going to go all the way back to 15 stone, but you've changed enough to bring your head down to 13 stone, which is why your weight's come back up to that point. So last year you had a 15 stone mindset, you managed to get to 12 stone. This year, you managed to resolve 2 stone of your thoughts and your behaviours and your habits, but you've still got more to fix. And you've come to me now with your new 13 stone mindset, and you're going to learn stuff from me, we're going to work through stuff, and by the time you're done here, you might leave with an 11 stone mindset, or whatever our goal might be in our head. So, God, I feel like this has been quite long. If you are, because this was for people on the outside world really, if you are on the outside world looking in, if you're one of these like 5 to 12,000 people that looks at my stories, nods along, thinks about it, honestly, that weight loss has become a ridiculously high skepticism market. We've got COVID to blame for that, because all the good coaches that were online have now been diluted by all the awful coaches that took themselves from being face-to-face to online. And it's become such a ridiculously high skepticism market. And people just go, yeah, heard it all before. It's people have to buy into you a lot more than maybe they did in the past. And that means they have to read emails, they have to watch Instagram reels, they have to go into your reels and watch 10 of them, and they're like, okay, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Let's see if he's got a link in his bio. Then they tap the link in the bio and they read the page and they go, yeah, that actually sounds good, but it sounds too good to be true. But look at all these testimonials, all these people saying all these things. This sounds exactly like what I need, but how many times have I paid for things and they've not worked out? It's such a high skepticism market, and it's frustrating for me when you know that you have the power to help people, when you know that you have the qualifications, when you know you have a ridiculous amount of experience from working with like 15,000 people since mid-2017, all people who go through yo-yo dieting. It's funny, I said this in the last episode about how I can read a lot of things in people's words. Like, I probably couldn't do that back in 2018. I did a few more courses actually, but I'm not really any more or less qualified now than I was to do my job in 2018. However, experience amplifies qualifications, doesn't it? And you get to a point where, well, I've gotten used to it now, where people say, oh, you've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I was thinking. Because a lot of people won't tell you what's going on with them. They're very cryptic. They'll talk about old habits, but they'll never tell you what the old habits are. They'll talk about old thoughts and behaviours, but they'll never tell you what they are. Oh, the scales went up on Saturday, but I know why that is. Yeah, well, I don't, because you've not told me. So then I have to analyse things and then assume things and say, okay, well, here's what without us having to go back and forth for ages and me drag this information out of you, here's what I think's going on. You're right. You're absolutely right. You've hit the nail on the head. I won't be cryptic again. I won't hide anything. I'll make sure I tell you, because when people, a lot of people don't like to be open and honest, especially if they've been doing well. This is quite a challenge. People might be doing well for 3 months. Everything's sunshine and rainbows. They've gotten enough from the things we've spoken about to do well, but then a challenge comes along that they weren't prepared for, and they'll shy away because they got so used to doing well. People don't like to tell you when they're not doing well, and it's like, yeah, that's literally why I'm here. This is the work. I'm not, I don't want to help people through the good moments when life's quiet and the kids are in school and you're back at work and you've got routine and all the birthdays are past and the holidays are done. Yeah, that's fine. It's great because it means you've got a nice quiet period to make great progress. But you don't have any challenges Challenges are when you grow. Challenges are when you learn the most about yourself. Remember, there's never any I'll do it again. Remember, there are never any failures. There is only feedback. And it's the feedback that we need to learn from. Right, enough from me. I'll leave you on that bombshell, as Jeremy Clarkson used to say. Until next time.